Hello everyone, welcome to the Daily Current Affairs Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy, 6th January 2026. Before getting into the discussion, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't, please do subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time updates from the Academy. So coming to the topics for today's discussion, the first topic is about counterfeit human anti-rabies vaccine. So recently, the Australia and United States of America raised an issue that there is a circulation of fake anti-rabies vaccine manufactured by an Indian pharmaceutical company in the market. And the second article is regarding the Wolf Supermoon. So we know that in the month of January 2026, the world witnessed the first supermoon of the year, and we call it Wolf Supermoon. And the third article is regarding the Siberian High. So it's a it's an anticyclonic system that forms in the Siberian highlands during the time of winter. And the fourth article is regarding the design-linked incentive scheme. So this scheme was launched in the year 2021 along with the Semiconductor mission and also the Semicon India program. So we will be discussing what is the initiative and how this is bringing a shift or a change in the approach towards the semiconductor manufacturing. And finally, we will be discussing the prelims focus. If all set, let's begin the discussion with the first article. Along with a rabies vaccine batch, the article is taken from The Hindu. So recently, some of us might have heard about a controversy regarding Indian-made anti-rabies vaccine. So what is this issue? What was the response from the pharmaceutical company? What about the people who already took this fake anti-rabies vaccine? And we will also see some of the key facts regarding the rabies infection. So coming to the issue. So it was in the December 2025, the Australian Technical Advisory Group on Immunization and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention of United States of America issued a health warning informing the people that there is an availability of a fake anti-rabies vaccine of the Abirab. Abirab is an Indian-made anti-rabies vaccine. It is manufactured by the Indian Immunologicals Limited, a pharmaceutical company in India. So what they are saying is that there is an availability of fake anti-rabies vaccine of Abirab since November 1st, 2023. That is for nearly 3 years. What was the response from the Indian manufacturer? That is the pharmaceutical company, that is Indian Immunologicals Limited. So they gave the response on 27th December 2025 saying that there was an incident of fake anti-rabies vaccine availability. But this incident was identified in the early January of 2025, and the company also reported the incident immediately to the government and the respective law enforcement agencies. But now what about the people who already took the fake anti-rabies vaccine? See, we have two types of vaccines. The first is live attenuated vaccine. The second is inactivated vaccine. So the live attenuated vaccine, there we will be using living germs to trigger the antibodies. While in the case of inactivated vaccine, we will be using dead or killed germs to trigger the antibodies. And this rabies vaccine is a type of inactivated vaccine. So therefore, there is no issue in going for revaccination. So if a person has a doubt that he received a fake anti-rabies vaccine, then in that case he can go and confirm the issue with the medical or with the doctor, and then he can go for complete revaccination. And the vaccine will be administered on the 1st, 3rd, 7th, 14th, and 28th day. And so in the case of in the case of a person who already took the real vaccine, if he needs more immune support, in that case he can go for booster dose. So coming to the key facts about the rabies infection. So we can see that the rabies infection is a major public health concern in many areas, particularly in the continents of Asia and Africa. And the major concern associated with this rabies infection is nothing but the victims. 40% of the victims are children, that too below the age of 15. Not that it is a viral disease. Rabies is a virus. Zoonotic disease. It is transmitted from animals to humans, not just dogs. Even bat can also transmit the rabies infection. It is a neglected tropical disease. That means, what is the major feature of neglected tropical disease? So it is a type of the neglected tropical diseases are the diseases that can affect the life of a person beyond health. That means his socio-economic status and other aspect of the life will be affected if he got affected with any neglected tropical disease. And you have to note that the rabies vaccine is very it's an important way to prevent the rabies infection, and to an extent the rabies is treatable also. But once it infects the central nerve system, in that case there is a possibility for 100% fatality. And you have to note that the dog bite and scratches accounts for nearly 99% of rabies cases in the humans. So considering the serious condition, the WHO recommended post-exposure prophylaxis and also rabies immunoglobulin in case of a dog attack from mild to severe attacks. So if a person received a mild attack from the dog, in that case washing the region but there was no wound, in that case washing the region with the soap for nearly 50 minutes is more than enough. And if he received a mild injury, in that case he has to take immediate soap wash. At the same time he should take vaccination also. Imagine if a person received a multiple bite and got serious injury from the dog attack, in that case he should take rabies immunoglobulin. And the WHO also recommended pre-exposure prophylaxis for the people who are working in laboratories, particularly who are handling the bacteria and virus like rabies. Different forms of rabies. So before that, we have to understand that rabies is a serious issue. We already discussed that, and it is major concern in nations like nations in Asia and African continent. So therefore, every nations in the world has their own national plan to eliminate rabies. For example, India launched the rabies control program in 2013, and we also launched the rabies elimination program in 2021. So coming to the forms of rabies, there are different types of rabies. The first is rabies, furious rabies. So in this case, the major symptoms are hyperactivity, excitable behavior, hallucination, lack of coordination, hydrophobia, that is fear of water, and aerophobia, that means fear of fresh air. If a person has furious rabies, in that case, the person will die within few days after these symptoms due to cardiorespiratory arrest. And there is a second type of rabies, that is paralytic rabies. So in this paralytic rabies is responsible for nearly 20% of total number of rabies human cases. And you have to understand that here the development of the infection will be little bit slow. Here in the beginning, the person will experience an inflammation in the wound. Next, the infection will enter into the central nerve system. In that case, eventually the person will fall into coma and the person will slowly die. So that is a major difference between furious rabies and the paralytic rabies. And coming to the prevention. So what are the methods that we have? What are the steps that we have to take immediately to fight the rabies? The first is vaccinating the dogs, household dogs. So we have to note that many nations are focusing on dog-mediated rabies cases. For example, India launched the rabies elimination program in 2021, which is focusing more on dog-mediated rabies case. But you have to understand that if you take America, US, there they have successfully, to an extent, they eliminated the dog-mediated rabies. But now the major concern is bat-mediated rabies. So we have to vaccinate dogs, and also we have to focus on other animals who has a potential to spread or to transmit the infection. And not that culling the free roaming dogs will not resolve the problem of rabies infection. And the second is generating awareness, the most important step. So we have to understand that we have to educate the people regarding the risk factors, the symptoms, the possibilities of rabies infection. And the third, vaccinating people. So far the WHO has recognized three major anti-rabies vaccines, that includes the Rabies S developed by the Serum Institute of India, Vaxirab N developed by the Zydus Life Sciences Limited, and also Verorab vaccine developed by the Sanofi Pasteur. So these are the three pre-qualified vaccines recognized by the WHO. That means these vaccines already went under high quality and the standard test of WHO. And coming to the India's position in terms of rabies incidence and control. So you have to understand that according to the estimation of WHO, India accounts for nearly 36% of world's rabies cases. And here also the major concern is regarding the victims. Nearly 30 to 60% of the reported rabies cases and death in India occur in children, and that too under the age of 50. And you can see that the rabies death in like I already mentioned, it is preventable, 100% is preventable, and also to an extent it is treatable. But for that we have to vaccinate dogs, we have to generate awareness, and we have to vaccinate the people. So considering the situation, like I already mentioned, India implemented the National Rabies Control Program in 2013, and also we launched the Joint National Action Plan for Rabies Elimination to achieve the goal of eliminating dog-mediated rabies infection by 2030. So here also the focus is more on dog mediated. But now, like I already mentioned, the even other animals also has a potential to spread the infection. So we have to focus on other animals too. And joint national action plan for rabies elimination program. It is managed by two ministries. That is the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and the second is the Ministry of Animal Husbandry. And the first program, that is a National Rabies Control Program, that is managed by the nodal ministry is the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So we have discussed the recent issue, what was the response from the pharmaceutical company, and what can be done for the people who already took the fake vaccine, and also we discussed some of the key facts regarding the rabies infection. So coming to the prelims practice question, the question is with reference to rabies, consider the following statements. Statement 1, rabies is a viral disease that affects the central nervous system and is almost always fatal once clinical symptoms appear. Statement 2, the post-exposure prophylaxis against rabies is ineffective if not administered immediately after an animal bite. Which of the above statements is or are correct? So we have to understand that the first statement is correct, because like I already mentioned, once the symptoms appears, in that case, saving the person is very difficult. In that case, there is a possibility for 100% fatality. The second statement, post-exposure prophylaxis against rabies is ineffective if not administered immediately after an animal bite. Nothing like that. Usually the incubation period for the rabies infection ranges from, in usual case, it ranges from 1 week to 1 month. Okay, and that will change according to the viral load. So sometimes the incubation period can even go for up to 1 year. So the post-exposure prophylaxis is effective and it is needed. But if a person did not take post-exposure prophylaxis immediately after the dog bite, it will not become effective. That's, if the statement is going like that, then that is incorrect. So the statement 2 is incorrect. So the statement 1 is correct. So the correct answer will be option A, 1 only. So with this, we will move to the next article. What is a Wolf supermoon? The article is taken from The Hindu. So in the month of January 2026, the world witnessed the first supermoon of the year, and we call it Wolf supermoon. Does it have anything to do with wolf? Let us discuss. So what is meant by a Wolf supermoon? It is a nickname that combines two distant ideas, that is a wolf moon and a supermoon. So what is meant by supermoon? Supermoon means full moon plus perigee. So perigee is the closest point between the earth and the moon. So this time the moon will come nearly 384,000 lakh kilometer near to the earth, and you can see that the full moon occurs when there is a supermoon occurs when there is a full moon and perigee. So the moon will appear nearly 14% bigger and also 30% brighter. So what is mean by wolf moon then? See, we have 12 months in a year, and for each month we have at least one full moon. And to mention the full moons in every month, we will be using some name. For example, to mention the January full moon, we are using the term wolf moon, and to mention the February full moon, we are using the term snow moon, and to mention the October's full moon, we are using the term hunter's moon. So to mention the full moon of each month, we have some name, and this full moon of January is known as Wolf supermoon. Okay, so this is the concept of Wolf supermoon. It has nothing to do with the wolves. So what is meant by a full moon then? So like I mentioned, the supermoon occurs when there is a full moon plus perigee. So what about the full moon? What is meant by full moon? So during the time of full moon, one side of the moon will be completely visible to the earth. So this happens when the sun, earth and the moon comes in a straight line. So what happens? The sunlight from the sun will hit the one side of the moon, and that surface will be fully visible to the earth, and that day is known as full moon. Okay, and if this full moon occurs in the closest point of the earth, then that will become supermoon. Okay, and related to this, we have to understand two more concepts, that is the perigee and apogee. I already discussed what is meant by perigee. So perigee is the closest point between the earth and the moon. So this time the moon will become 30% brighter and 14% larger. And at the same time, what about apogee? Apogee is the farthest point between the earth and the moon. So that is around 4,500 kilometers away from the earth. So this time the moon will appear less brighter it will appear smaller, and the moon is located far away from the earth. And like I mentioned before, to mention each month full moon, we have some day. So like I mentioned, to mention the January full moon, we are using the term wolf moon. February it is known as snow moon, and for March it is known as warm moon, and for April it is known as pink moon, and for May it is known as flower moon, and June it is known as strawberry moon, and July it is known as buck moon, and like that we will be using different names to mention the full moon of each month. Okay, and coming to the types of full moon. So like I already mentioned, the blue moon, we heard about blue moon. So blue moon refers to the second full moon of a month. So second full moon in a single calendar month. So like I mentioned, for the 12 months, for each month we have at least one full moon. If at all there is a second full moon, that full moon is known as blue moon. And there is another concept called seasonal blue moon. So seasonal, so for every season we will have 3 full moons. If there is four full moons in a season, then the third full moon of that season will be called as blue moon. Not the fourth one. The third one will be called as blue moon. And the second is the blood moon. So it's a full moon during the total lunar eclipse. So what happens during the time of lunar eclipse? This the moon will appear reddish or brownish color. So that is known as blood moon. And recently we witnessed the blood moon. And to witness another blood moon, we have to wait till 2029. Okay. And the next is supermoon. We have already discussed. The supermoon occurs when there is a full moon plus perigee. So no need to discuss again. So this time the moon will appear nearly 14% larger and 30% brighter. So these are the different types of full moon. So we discussed what is wolf supermoon. We discussed what is supermoon. We discussed the full moon, how the full moon occurs, and what are the different types of full moon. And coming to the prelims practice question, the question is, which of the following best defines wolf supermoon? Option A, a full moon occurring in the January when the moon is closest to the earth in its orbit. Statement 2, that is option B, a new moon occurring in winter that appears larger due to atmospheric refraction. Statement or the option C, a January full moon associated with the increased wolf activity and unusual lunar eclipse. So we can easily eliminate the option C. Option D, a seasonal name given to the brightest moon of the year regardless of its orbital position. No. So from our discussion we can see that the correct answer is option A, that is a full moon occurring in the month of January. See, the wolf moon refers to the month of January. So the statement 1 is correct. So sorry, the option 1 A is correct. So the correct answer is option A. So with this we will move to the next article. What is meant by Siberian High? The article is taken from the Hindu. So why we are discussing now? Because this phenomena will become stronger during the time of winter, and we are living in winter currently. So before understanding about the Siberian High, we have to understand, before getting into the definition, we have to understand about the place called Siberia. So we know that Siberia, it is located in the interior part of Russia. We can see that if you watch any historical movies or documentaries, once the Siberia, and even today it is a prison. That means the condition is very harsh, the air is very cold and dry, and it will be very difficult for a person to survive there. And that is why the Siberian region was used as a prison during the time of Tsarist and Soviet rule. And you can see that another major feature of this the location of Siberia is that it is located far away from the influence of the sea. It is located in the interior part of the Russia, and it is located far away from the influence of the sea. If a place is located far away from the influence of the sea, then the place may experience continental type of climate. That means extreme temperature. That means both high and low temperature. But in the case of Siberia, it is located in the northern hemisphere, so always it will be dry and cold. And since it is located far away from the sea, the sea cannot regulate the temperature also. So that the Siberia will always remain as extremely cold region with a cold temperature and dry atmosphere. So that is the condition of Siberia in the usual time. So during the time of winter, what happens? During the time of winter, the sun will shift towards the south. That means the southern hemisphere will be experiencing longer days and shorter nights, while the northern hemisphere will be experiencing longer nights and shorter days. So if there is a longer nights, what will happen? Intense cooling of the ground will be rapid. So as a result, if there is a clear sky with long nights, in that case the rapid cooling of the surface will happen. As a result, what will happen? High pressure system will eventually form. How this high pressure system is forming? The rising air will cool down and it will sink here. As a result, a high pressure system will be formed here. So you can understand that this phenomena is known as the Siberian high pressure system, or the Siberian high pressure anticyclonic system, or it is also known as Asiatic high. So coming to the definition, what is meant by Siberian high? Siberian high is a strong cold core, high pressure, anticyclonic. So what is meant by anticyclonic? In the usual term, in the usual case, the term cyclone means a disturbance, large scale disturbance rotating around the center with the low pressure. But in the case of anticyclone, here the center will be having high pressure. That is a basic difference. And this is a high pressure anticyclonic system that develops over the Siberia during the northern hemisphere winter. And you can see that, like I mentioned, it is formed as a result of intense radiational cooling of the surface in land surface in the winter. And it is also known as Asiatic high. It is the strongest semi-permanent high pressure system in the northern hemisphere. What is meant by semi-permanent? The system, the phenomena will not happen throughout the year. It is seasonal. That means the system will be starting developing around late August, and it will attain the maturity by the late December or early January. And with the arrival of months, with the arrival of summer, the system will get weak and it will die. So that is why it is known as a semi-permanent high pressure system. And coming to the structural characteristics of Siberian high. So you can see that the nature, it is a cold core anticyclonic system. The vertical extension, it is a shallow system. That means with the increasing height, the system will become weak, and it will not have that much strength. So in the usual case of cyclone, the cyclone will be having a large vertical extension. For example, in the case of tropical cyclone and all. But in the case of the Siberian high, it is a shallow system. That means with the increase in the height, the system will weak, and it will be having nothing. And coming to the atmospheric layer, so the phenomena will be influencing the troposphere as usual. And the moisture, like I already mentioned, the location is in the northern hemisphere with a dry climate. So therefore, the condition will be extremely dry. And the temperature, the air masses will be very cold because of the location. And the third, and the next, permanence. So like I already mentioned, it is a semi-permanent, that is a seasonal system that usually develops around late August, and it will die with the arrival of the monsoon. So coming to the climate influence. So we can see that this phenomenon is also known as Asiatic high because it has a huge influence on the winter climate of continental Asia. That means the South Asia, Southeast Asia, Far East Asia will be experiencing cold, dry northerly and northeasterly wind due to the Siberian high. And coming to the impact on India. So in the case of India, we have Himalayan mountain ranges to protect India from the cold, dry winds from the Siberian region. But if there is any other conditions like presence of La Nina, in that case, the Siberian high will become stronger, and it can reach the Indian subcontinent. So how the La Nina is influencing the Siberian high. So you have to understand that La Nina means unusual cooling of central and eastern Pacific Ocean, while the western Pacific Ocean will be warmer. So if the western Pacific Ocean is warmer, what happens? It will lead to development of low pressure. So the air rising in the western Pacific Ocean, it will be moving towards the Siberian highlands. As a result, it will intensify the Siberian high, this pressure system. And during the time of La Nina, the Siberian high will become more powerful, and it can enter into India. So as a result, India may also experience northerly dry wind. So this is how the climate condition is influenced by the Siberian high. And coming to the prelims practice question. So the question is, with reference to Siberian high, consider the following statements. Statement 1, it is a cold core high pressure system that develops over Siberia due to intense wintertime radiational cooling. Yes, we discussed, and we can say that the statement is correct. Being a shallow system, its influence is mainly confined to the lower troposphere. Yes, the vertical extension of this system is very low. That is why the influence is limited to the troposphere, and we have discussed this while discussing the features of the structural features of the Siberian high. So let's check the answer. So the answer is option C, both 1 and 2. Let's check. So with this, we will move to the next article. Design linked incentive scheme. The article is taken from Press Information Bureau. So what is this initiative and why it is relevant now? Let us discuss. So this design linked incentive scheme was launched in 2021 by the Ministry of Information and Technology, and we can see that this incentive scheme will be working under two programs, that is Semicon India mission and also the India Semiconductor mission. So two programs, the Semicon India program as well as the India Semiconductor mission, both were launched in the year 2021, and this design linked incentive scheme also launched in the same year, and this will be working under both these initiatives. So what is design linked incentive scheme and why it is relevant now? Let us discuss. So we can see that in the coming days, the semiconductors are going to play a crucial role in a country's defense, national security, telecommunication, digital infrastructure, artificial intelligence, space, and also in the healthcare. But if you take the global semiconductor supply chain, there we can see a domination of certain East Asian countries like South Korea and China. So India realized that, and this was very evident during the time of COVID-19 and all. And India, we realized that, the technological sovereignty is not possible without taking control over the chip design of the semiconductors. So if another country or another entity is giving the design and we are manufacturing the chip, that will boost the manufacturing. But if we get control over the chip design, then we can attain technological sovereignty. And why the semiconductor design matters, why the chip design is important. So you can see that if you take the chip design, it contributes to nearly 50% of total value addition, and the cost of chip will come only 20 to 50% of the bill of materials. And through designing the chips, we can get at least 30 to 35% of global semiconductor revenue via fabulous firms. So on other side, the manufacturing is capital intensive, and at the same time it will not give that much technological sovereignty. And that is why to get the technological sovereignty, we need to focus on chip design. And that is why this design linked incentive scheme was introduced by government of India in the year 2021, and not that this will be implemented via Semicon India program and also under the India Semiconductor mission. And the nodal ministry for the implementation is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. And you can see that it is working under the Semicon India program, and the nodal agency, the nodal ministry is Electronics and Information Technology, while the nodal agency is Center for Developing Advanced Computing. So it is working under the Ministry of Information and Technology. So this agency will be responsible for implementing the initiative. So the objective is building a self-reliant, globally competitive, fabulous semiconductor design ecosystem by enabling startups, MSMEs, and also domestic companies. So which are the MSMEs, startups, and domestic companies are eligible for this scheme? The first is startups recognized under the DPIIT notification of 2019. MSME is recognized under the MSME notification of 2020, and domestic companies, that means Indian owned entities, under the foreign direct investment policy norms. So all these startups, MSMEs, and domestic companies are eligible for getting the benefit under the design linked incentive scheme. And the scheme will be covering the entire semiconductor design life cycle, that means starting from the chip design to deployment. So it will be covering the entire life cycle of the chip. And coming to the incentive architecture, so how the incentive scheme is working under the design linked incentive scheme. So the first is product design linked incentive, and the second is deployment linked incentive. So government will be providing incentives to the startups and MSMEs at two different stages. The first stage is the product design linked incentive, and the second is a deployment linked incentive. So here the incentive is provided for the design of the chip. So here you can see that the company or the MSME, they can get up to 50% of reimbursement of the eligible expenditure, and the cap here is 15 crore per application. So why the cap is relatively less comparing with the deployment linked incentive scheme? Because in the first stage there is a possibility for high risk. So it is a stage of high risk. The idea may work out, they may not work out. So that is why reducing the risk, we have brought the cap at 15 crore. And the second is the deployment linked incentive scheme. So here the company can get up to 4 to 6% of net sales turnover for the last 5 years as the incentive, and here the cap is 30%. So we can see that through structuring the incentive scheme like this, there we are shifting the approach. That means a shift from grand culture to market linked innovation culture. So here, based on the market will be also determining the incentive of a company or a startup. And the next is strategic importance of semiconductor chip manufacturing or design for India. So coming to the economic significance, high value export. So we can export the chips to other country, reduce import dependence, we will attain the self-reliance, strengthens the electronic trade balance. So we can see that one of the areas that we are lagging behind is the electronic sector, especially comparing with China, South Korea now. And the next is strategic and security. We can have trusted chips that can be without much tension. We can use that for defense, telecom, and artificial intelligence. And at the same time, we can also reduce the weaponization of supply chain against us. So if a particular nation or a particular zone of the world is dominating the supply chain of the semiconductor, then there is a high possibility that they will use the supply chain to control other countries. So we can avoid that worry. And the next is technological. So we can see that we can own the intellectual property rights for the chips. So if you are manufacturing the chips, we will not get the technological domination or technological control. But if we design the chips, there is a possibility. And it acts as a platform for AI, edge computing, 6G, and also for space tech. So like I mentioned, in the coming days, it can be used for various sectors, including AI, 6G, and also in the space. And employment. So the semiconductor manufacturing as well as the chip designing will provide job for high skilled engineering graduates. At the same time, it will also boost the deep tech ecosystem in India. And what are the major challenges in chip design or design linked incentive scheme? Long gestation period. So manufacturing is relatively very easy. At the same time, it will not take that much time. But to design the chip, to encourage such startups and to get benefit from their growth, it will take a long period. And therefore the first major challenge is the long gestation period. And the second is dependence on foreign fabs or advanced nodes. So even though if we start designing chips, still we can see that many countries are already dominating the semiconductor sector. And the next is talent retention and also scale up risk. So you can see that migration from India, educated, especially high skilled engineering graduates are migrating to other countries for better growth. So that keeping them inside the country itself is a challenge for the nation. Scaling up the risk. So you can see that in each stage the risk will be also vary. For example, in the beginning stage itself, the risk is very high. So providing incentive to the chip design itself is very risky. So who will be responsible, or who is ready to take such a large scale risk, and who will be ready to scale up such a risk? So that is also a biggest question. And coming to the way forward, what can be done to better to boosting the chip designing ecosystem of India? Deeper integration with the fabric incentives, long-term procurement assurance. That means government has to give assurance to the companies and startups that the government will purchase the design or the project or the chips. And the next is international tech collaboration without intellectual property, without losing the intellectual property rights. So we have one of the major objectives of designing chips is nothing but getting technological control. That means technological sovereignty. So we at the same time we should have a framework to collaborate with other nations to effectively utilize this growth. And there also one of the major things that we have to consider, that when we collaborate with the developed countries like USA or China, we should not lose the intellectual property rights over the chip. And the next is strengthening standards, certification, and trust frameworks will be also useful in boosting the design linked incentive scheme. And coming to the main practice question, the question is semiconductor design rather than manufacturing alone determines technological sovereignty in digital era. In this context, critically examine the role of India's design linked incentive scheme in strengthening the country's semiconductor ecosystem. So what is the role of design linked incentive scheme? So we already discussed the benefits. So we can avoid the weaponization of supply chain by certain countries. We can get technological sovereignty, At the same time, we can use trusted chips for various purposes like defense, artificial intelligence, and space. So these are the major benefits. And also coming to the socio-economic side, we can export the chips, we can reduce import, we can scale up the employment, especially for the high skilled people. And if we can boost the ecosystem beyond a limit, then we can keep the graduated highly skilled people within the country for further development. So these are the major benefits. So using the major benefits, using these key points, try to answer the question and post it in the comment section. And coming to the introduction, you can give the design linked incentive scheme as the introduction. So when it was launched, what is its objective? So and you can address the we have also given certain points for way forward. You can you can use that also as way forward, and using this hints, write the answer and post it in the comment section. We will review and we will reply for your answer. Now it's time to move to the next article. So coming to the prelims focus, the first topic is voice over Wi-Fi service. So what is this facility? So it's an IMS based service that supports the seamless handovers between Wi-Fi and mobile networks. So simply, a person can make normal mobile call using the Wi-Fi network. So this facility is known as voice over Wi-Fi service. And this is very useful for the people who are living in the remote area and in the isolated areas within the city with less connectivity, less mobile connectivity. So they can use the Wi-Fi facility to make the call, normal call. Why it is in the news? Recently, the BSNL launched the voice over Wi-Fi service across the country. So recently, the BSNL launched this facility. And what is this facility? This facility will allow the mobile phones to make a normal call to another mobile phone using the Wi-Fi service, and this will be useful for the people who are living in the remote area or within the isolated areas of the city. And the next topic is Global Spice Route Conclave. So recently, this event was organized in the city of Kochi in Kerala, and this event was organized by Muziris Heritage Project in collaboration with the Kerala Tourism Ministry. And what are the objectives of this conclave? Highlighting the shared maritime and cultural heritage of spice route region. So not that it is focusing on spice route regions. So Kerala is known for spice, especially spice like pepper and cardamom. And we can see that not from yesterday or day before yesterday. Since ancient time, the Kerala is known for its spice trade. And this Muziris is actually an ancient port city which is located in the central Kerala. Is known for carrying out a brisk trade with both Western, that means with the Roman society, and also with the societies of Southeast Asia. And the second objective of this event is promoting the cultural and heritage tourism among the spice route countries. Third, placing Kerala as the global hub of heritage and maritime civilization. So like I mentioned, since the ancient time, Kerala played a crucial role in connecting the west and east. And you can see that the port of Muziris, even today the excavations are going on, and we have recovered many Roman articles, Roman coins, and artifacts belongs to other civilizations also. So we can see that once upon a time, it was not just a point of trade, it was a point of cultural exchange. And coming to the Muziris Heritage Project. So this is launched by the government of Kerala to conserve and protect the Muziris, the ancient port city which is located in the central Kerala. So here you can see that the Muziris connected the west as well as the east. So in the ancient time, the role of Muziris port was very important. And coming to the prelims practice question, the question is with reference to Muziris Heritage Project, consider the following statement. Statement 1, it is a Government of India initiative implemented by the Ministry of Culture. No, it is not the Government of India initiative, it is the Government of Kerala initiative, not the India. So the statement 1 is incorrect. So the statement 1 is incorrect means we can eliminate option A and option D. The statement 2, the project aims to conserve and showcase the ancient port city of Muziris associated with the Indo-Roman trade. Yes, like I mentioned, the ancient city, the Muziris was known for carrying out brisk trade with the west as well as with the east. The west means the Roman society, and we have recovered many Roman articles and coins. And the statement 3, it is located in the present day state of Kerala. Yes, the Muziris is located in the central Kerala. Statement 4, the project adopts a museum-based approach by creating a single central heritage complex. No, the project is aiming to conserve and protect the Muziris as an ancient port city itself. There is no museum-based approach. So the statement 4 is incorrect. So the correct answer will be option B, 2 and 3 only. Let's check. Yes, it is option B, 2 and 3 only. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's current affair analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comments, and share this content with your friends. And before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time updates from the academy. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for listening to me. Have a nice day.